Hey out there, legal warriors. Should you go it alone if you're charged with a crime? And I don't mean should you go without an attorney. Should you go without telling anyone? Because that's what a lot of people want to do. They want to not tell anyone about what happened. So is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? What are the pluses and minuses? If you're interested in the criminal law, or if this is a situation you're in, stay tuned because this is the video for you. My name is Attorney Lance Fryrear, and I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes for more than 20 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. So if you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people will get the help they need. Now I'm just going to jump right into it. I've been doing this a long time, and so many times I get such great people sitting in my office who had one bad night, one bad experience, and they cannot believe that they have been charged with a crime. And I sit there and how do I handle this, right? Well, I'm always trying to find out, are they going about this alone? I know they're not going to go without an attorney. They're in seeing me or someone in my firm. But, emotionally, are they going through this alone? And so I ask, do you live alone or with other people? Right? Do you have any pets? A dog's always going to love us, right? Do you have parents that are alive, and where do they live? And do you have siblings, and where do they live? And I always get a lot of strange looks. Why are you asking this? You're not asking about the case. Well, we're going to get around to the case, but the most important thing I think that I want to cover for people charged with a crime is how they're doing, right? How are you doing emotionally at the time? Because it's hard, right? To be accused of doing something wrong feels terrible. It's frightening. You might lose your job. You definitely could be embarrassed. You could go to jail. Just terrible things. And so when I hear a client of mine is going it alone and no one knows about it, I go through some questions. First of all, I ask, think about someone who maybe would be important that knows this, right? Your spouse, your partner, your parent, and then imagine what's the worst possible thing they could do, right? What's the worst result they could have? Well, they could throw me out of the house and never want to talk to me again. Okay, now imagine what the best possible thing is that could happen. Well, they'd be understanding, they'd give me a hug, and they'd really try to help support me and get me through this and know that I'm not a bad person, right? And when we go through what's the worst and what's the best, then we can probably realize that in most cases the worst thing's not going to happen, right? And I also let people talking to me know that, it's not our responsibility to decide the best outcome for someone else. Sometimes, we're afraid that, hey, I don't want to, stress out my mother with the fact I got charged with a crime. I don't want to cause this stress. Well, you're making an assumption if you think that, right? It's not our job to decide what's best for them. They might be more upset if you don't reach out to them to help you, right? Because, the family member probably cares about you. And there's all types of family dynamics. I'm not speaking for every situation here. This is generally speaking. But, I want to push back against predetermining an outcome because we're not thinking clearly when we're charged with a crime. We're thinking, about the worst possible outcomes, and we're totally scared and we're upset. And so usually we're going to be surprised by the positive reaction others might have in trying to help us. So I would rather that if somebody is charged with a crime that they don't go it alone emotionally. Now, that's not everything. We also have to worry about, the law, right? We have to worry about, anything you tell somebody that's not your spouse, right, or your clergy or your attorney about the crime. If a prosecutor got a hold of them and knew about it and asked them to testify, well, then they would be allowed to say what you told them, and it's an exception to the hearsay rule. Now, in the real world, that doesn't happen a lot, okay? If you tell someone, you tell your sister that, hey, I got really drunk and I feel really bad about it, can you give me some support? Well, it's not very likely that the prosecutor is going to find your sister and say, by the way, did he admit to being drunk? And by the way, sister, are you willing to testify? But, in a pure law school exam, you're not supposed to talk about the facts of the case to other people that aren't confidential. But you can still get support, right, without having to get into the nitty-gritty of what happened. And so if you're, in a situation where you're trying to decide what to do, think about, what has that person shown in the past when there's been a crisis in the family? And then I often ask, even if family members do know about the situation, I ask, what do they sound like? When they talk to you, do they sound, hey, I'm going to help you get through this, on other items, or even if they know about it for this case, I'm going to help you get through this, or they sound like, I can't believe you ruined your life, I can't believe you did this, I'm so disappointed in you. Those are the people maybe we don't need chirping in our ear, while our own sort of punitive parent voice, from a psychology term, our own punitive parent voice is already telling us that already, right? We need support. And we need support from people, hopefully not from alcohol, hopefully not from drugs. And the reason why I want somebody to have support is so they don't let the head spin into the worst case scenario. They don't get on lawyer Google and see all the supposed bad things that can happen. They don't keep telling themselves that they ruined their life, because probably they haven't, right? With good attorney help, there's likely going to be a way to make the most out of the crisis. And defense attorneys that are effective have to be optimists. And we need also anybody charged with a crime to be an optimist as well. We can't control what happened, but we can try to influence our thinking. We can try to feel better so we can do better. And why don't we just try that, right? So I hope this has been helpful. Please, if you have a legal problem, reach out to an attorney. You can reach out to my firm. If you're feeling terrible, hopefully you can get some help, right? And, if you're being suicidal, there's lots of places, to call about that, hotlines and whatnot. But as far as the criminal case goes, if you need some help, feel free to give my office a call. Again, my name's Lance Fryrear. I've been defending people charged with crimes for more than 20 years. You just get a hold of us. We'll listen to what happened. We'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.